Hello, friends. Today we are reviewing Incantation. Join us as we explore this spine-chilling Netflix film. But first, this message is directed at whichever one of you guys put a curse on me. Please stop. I keep throwing up worms, and I really don't like that. My fingertips are always slightly tacky, and I don't know if that's part of the curse, but I have to believe it is. Please stop. I don't want to be sticky anymore.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes.
Little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Break.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is back country.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo being pregnant?
Chomp, chomp, chompa, chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Hello, and welcome to the most polite horror movie show in the world.
Quite right.
This is... Bryce, come on, you're talking over me already. This is Horror Movie Talk, the show where no one ever talks over anyone, and we all wait our turn to speak, and we all speak an equal amount. That would be a good time for one of you to speak.
Quite right.
Okay.
Correct.
Horror Movie Talk is an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. I'm Max Allen, the one everyone is just now starting to come around to, and with me is the brilliant mastermind behind the show, Bryce Hansen. We review a different horror movie each. Oops, sorry, I meant to say Sydney's here too.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you
sorry,
so much.
Sydney. That's the last time I'm going to do that joke. It's getting old. We review a different horror movie each week. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. The full video is available on YouTube, so don't be a square. Please share. Also, check out patreon.com/horrormovietalk, the equivalent of the adult section at your video rental store. If you want to add your P to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. Oh, jeez. That was wanting to come out that whole time.
That was so
Excuse
good.
you.
Excuse me. We've got a great show for you today. We will be reviewing Incantation. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we will be playing nothing because I didn't make a game for today. Boo.
It's okay. Well, we have plenty to talk about with this movie, so I'm sure we'll fill the time.
There's probably too much to talk about in this movie because there's so much that happens. Every scene is so jam-packed with things. Let's get into the review portion. Incantation can be found on Netflix. Incantation is a classic tale of 3 ghost hunters who travel to a secluded village to learn more about their spooky-wooky traditions and gather some footage for their YouTube channel. However, their journey quickly goes from silly to so incredibly horrifying. Years later, the curse of the Mother Buddha deity still follows.
Hold on. Beg pardon.
Yeah, beg pardon.
This was on... I think I saw a different movie. Mine was about a Colombian teenage girl that had to face the frustration of being the only member of her family without magical powers.
Are you serious?
Is that not what you watched? It was a musical?
Are you talking about Encanto?
Was that not what we were reviewing? I'm so confused because you kept saying it was on Netflix. I was like, it's a Disney property. I thought it would only be on Disney Plus.
Oh my god.
Well, I'll be out of it. I'm sorry, guys. I must have misheard. I'll just sit back this episode.
What movie did you watch, Sydney?
I definitely watched this movie on Netflix. I definitely watched it.
Okay, so then we'll continue with Incantation. We'll scrap Encanto. Maybe we'll do it later.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I can talk about Encanto, too.
I've never seen
I've actually never
Encanto.
seen Encanto.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's
Tell me
very
about
good.
I know the songs from it though, from my little sisters. They love that shit.
You've never heard We Don't Talk About Bruno?
Well,
Max?
I've heard that.
Okay. Well, all right. We can. I'm sorry to derail it. I beg pardon. Let's keep going on with this review. I'll do my best to keep up.
Okay,
So
beg pardon. I'll get into my review if you will beg my pardon.
No pardon necessary, Max. You go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Incantation is one of my favorite horror movies in recent years. It's kind of a hidden gem. I don't think it had any sort of theatrical release. It was just quietly sitting on Netflix. A lot of people in the horror community talk about wanting to find a movie that is actually scary, and I really do think that this is it. Obviously, I don't want to hype it up too much for those of you who haven't seen it because I know that can lead to unrealistic expectations. But when I watched this movie for the first time, I had to pause it and turn on the lights because I got too scared. It brings the viewer into the story, making you a part of the nightmare. And for that, this feels more like an experience than a movie. It wastes no time and it gets scary within like 5 minutes. Oh, beg pardon. It gets scary literally within like the first 5 minutes of the movie. If you haven't checked it out, please do yourself a favor and go watch it. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I love this movie. This is my second time seeing it, so I don't think it's as scary the second time around. But the first time that I watched it, which is, I think it's when it came on Netflix, because this is 2022. I think around then is when I watched it, because I was seeing like tweets and stuff about it. And I was horrified the first time I watched it. Like, I wouldn't look when she would, like, you know, be like, repeat after me. I'd be like, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen. Like, I was really, really scared the first time I watched it. I really still loved it the second time I watched it. I was glad that I knew what was going to happen, honestly, because I would have been terrified. But I think my only complaint with this movie is I think it's a little too long. I think there's a couple things that they could have shortened. It's almost 2 hours long, which is long for a horror movie. But that's really it. Like, there's just a part in the middle where I'm like, okay, this is kind of dragging a little bit. But the rest of it is amazing. It's chock full of everything that a found footage horror movie should have. And I'll give it an 8. I really like this movie.
Thank you, Sydney. I loved everything about this movie, the characters, the songs, the animation, the concept.
No,
really...
beg pardon. We're not talking about... Sorry, beg pardon. We're not talking about Encanto.
Please don't interrupt me.
I'm sorry. Beg pardon.
It really reminded me of my family and really talked to family values and the, the historical trauma of, expectations in your family. And so I give Encanto a 10 out of 10. No, so Incantation, yeah, I think it was a little oversold to me. I think it's really novel what they did with the involving the audience and basically saying we're actively cursing you by making you watch this movie. I probably just wasn't in a good mood to watch it. I was pretty tired. I had to finish half of it this morning, and I was falling asleep through some of the scariest parts. So I'm like, yeah, I better turn this off and take this up in the morning. So I wasn't like in the ideal situation. I was like kind of impatient, and this might be another knock on the length, but I was like, okay, can we get to it? Can we get to the point here, especially early on? But the ending is a good payoff. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially in terms of supernatural foreign horror. It's pretty new and unique in the genre, and it's a great concept for found footage. It felt pretty fresh. But that being said, like, it's not my favorite thing. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Interesting. Wow. I really
Encanto
thought we
was
were all
better.
gonna.
I thought you guys were gonna like it more.
I think 8 is a good score. That's a 4 out of 5 stars. I really like this movie. I think it was because it was the second time I watched it. I wasn't as scared, and I think that's what it was. I also watched it at like 5 p.m. yesterday, so maybe I should have watched it at like 10 and like really pitch black, no one home, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe. But I thought Bryce was gonna like it more. I thought we were gonna be in some sort of agreement here. So that's interesting. That's interesting, Bryce. Maybe you shouldn't be so tired when you watch the
Well, if I may,
You may.
I just had a question for both of you. Do either one of you have trypophobia?
I do a little bit. Like, it doesn't bother me in any real sense, but sometimes I get looking at an image and it like just sends chills down my spine, like intense chills.
Wow.
Some pictures you can find on the internet are horrific to look at.
How about you, Sydney?
No, it doesn't. It was gross in this movie, like, but it was more like, I guess we'll get into it in spoilers. I guess it was more of the context of it happening. Like, if that was me seeing that, I would be really upset. Like, in the movie, in the moment, if I was the mom, I would be scared. But
Ooh.
Remember?
Ooh, these pictures are not good.
Yeah, I think Max has trypophobia.
Oh, shoot. It's making me feel really weird.
You got to share. You got to share now. What are the images?
put
I
it
know.
up there.
Oh.
Ew. It looks like
Oh.
it just looks like a honeycomb to me. Yeah, those flowers, those like flower things.
What
it's
flower things?
the first picture.
Oh, it's making my body feel tingly. I do not like this. Holy
So we
cow.
know why Max
Thinks
is scared of
is
this
scary.
movie.
Yeah.
I gotta
It's
say,
scary. There are scary parts of this movie.
did I recently talk about my foot malady?
Yeah.
Yes.
What
The
episode was
afterpod.
that? Have we released that yet?
It was an afterpod. We got a comment on it the other day, so let me just hold on. I remember on Patreon someone saying
So
something.
I described a foot malady that I had when I was younger in high
Long
school.
legs. It was the long legs afterpod.
Okay, the long legs afterpod. This is basically what it looked like on my foot for a while,
Ooh.
except instead of just like
Maybe you
black
had
holes, it was-
incantation.
it was open source. So
Ooh.
I should be more fearful of it, but I've lived it, guys. So I've overcome my fear.
You were cursed
They're
by Mother
just
That's what-
Buddha.
holes. They can't hurt me.
Mm-hmm. I just go pineapple, bunny, woof woof, and then I'm fine.
Guys, it's been a while since I looked at pictures like that. I genuinely am tweaking right now. I don't feel okay.
and you're drinking freaking pre-workout. It's not good. You're gonna itch a hole in your body. You're gonna itch a hole in your body.
Don't do that. Look at Max. He's disassociating
Oh
now.
my god, Matt.
I feel weird. I also wanted to mention, because I don't think we've mentioned it before, but this movie is Taiwanese. Is that what it was? So, ni hao.
Is that
Wait, so did you guys watch it in English or did you watch it in Mandarin with subtitles?
I watched it
it
with
in English.
subtitles.
I watched it in Mandarin with subtitles. So I just can't
English
stand.
I didn't even know it was an option. I would have probably watched it in English.
It did that
Yeah,
for me at
makes it
first,
easier.
but I can't stand how like the mouth doesn't line up to the words. So I just would rather read the whole movie than I don't know. It's annoying to me.
Yeah,
To each their
beg
own.
pardon. For this one, there was a lot of really quick lines. So it was like there's a lot of times where it was like 2 lines of dialogue that was on screen for like half a second. I wish I could have listened to it in English because I had to rewind a couple times because they're really talking quick. But yeah,
Beg
I
pardon.
usually
Do you guys
prefer-
hear my neighbors yelling? Do you hear that on here right now?
No.
Oh my
No.
god, they're being so fucking loud. They're like right there. They're like right down there, and they
Pardon
yell.
me.
They yell every morning.
Tell them to
Excuse me.
beg pardon.
Excuse me. Do you hear my dog barking in the background?
No.
No.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so we're fine. Never mind. Sorry. Beg pardon.
Sorry, Max. Were you saying?
Konnichiwa.
All right.
Well, are you ready to jump into this mid-roll?
I think so.
Okay, good, because I need to explain this hoodie. Welcome to the mid-roll, by the way, everyone. Glad you could make it. Guys, If you're okay, I'll get to the hoodie later. If you're listening to these commercials, you should know that you don't have to. You can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/horrormovietalk, sign up for the appropriate tier, get ad-free content. It's that simple, and it's not that expensive either. You can do it. You're a big boy. You're an adult. You can figure it out. Also, head on over to horrormovietalk.com where you can get sick merch and you can look as cool as I do because Bryce sent me this hoodie and it made my day. I feel so cool in this hoodie, and combined with the new pants I bought, I'm a new man. Also, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commission for artwork. I can't talk today. He also takes commission for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you. If you would like to send us a voicemail, because I believe we just went through a bunch of our voicemails, so we're fresh out. We need some more voicemails. Send in a voicemail. That number is 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Okay, so yeah, I have some notes on this movie, but it jumps around a ton, and so it's kind of hard to keep straight. So we can
There's
talk
so
about
many
it.
characters.
Beg your
There's
pardon.
so many characters.
There
I don't think
are
it's
a lot of
possible for me
characters.
not to talk
Beg
over
pardon?
someone.
And yeah, well, Sydney, I was texting.
So I was
Sydney the
gonna
other
say
day about-
that Sydney has a problem with talking over Max.
Guys, this is why I talk 20% and you each talk 40% of this podcast. I can't get a word in.
Max
This is my episode.
Max is so furious. Max is like an unending, bottomless well of anger about us talking over him, and we didn't even realize until this week. So
Yeah.
we're trying to stem the uproar from poor Max.
Are you? You're still talking. You just talk, and I was talking, and then you started talking, and then you just kept going and didn't even think about what I was talking about. I don't even remember what I was gonna say.
Well, beg pardon.
You said you were texting me.
I was beg pardon. No, that was a joke. I was making a joke. So excuse me. I apologize for trying to be funny, but the effect was exactly what I wanted to happen, which was for you to be fucking furious at me.
I am an endless well of anger.
Mm-hmm. He's our little emo boy. You grew up emo, and it's just like you're just hiding it. You're just like, I just want to scream, cry my feelings.
I frequently do scream, cry my feelings.
Okay, beg pardon. You may proceed. I'll not.
Okay,
interrupt.
excuse me.
All right.
So-
Let's not be passive aggressive about it.
I said excuse me. Wait, why am I out of focus?
Excuse me.
I don't even want to
Okay,
participate.
someone start
this
talking about the
episode.
beginning of this movie because I'm out of focus and I need to fix that for a second.
So it starts with like our main character explaining how we can will things to go our way or to go not our way. Like we can make things blessings or we can make things curses with our mind. And there's like some optical Max. This is so funny. I can't.
Keep going, beg pardon.
Okay. And
Max is cursed.
Max, you got cursed from this movie. It happened.
I told you someone's cursed me. My life has not been good.
I'm so confused. What is it trying to focus on?
Mother Buddha. We're trying to see
Like,
her
it's-
face.
Focus on Mother Buddha.
It's a green screen. Like, why would it be?
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
I'm finally in focus.
He's
I'm in
back.
tears. I can't do this episode. The curse is too strong.
Okay, do you want to continue,
Yes.
Max?
Yeah, so she brings up like optical illusions, and she's like, look, our will controls reality. If you think about the train moving forward, it'll be moving forward, but if you think about it moving backward, it'll be moving backward. And so I don't really know what that was all supposed to be about.
Excuse me. Yeah, so like what is the actual connection between the optical illusions and the what part of perception and interpretation is connected with the curse that were explained at the end?
Pardon.
I mean, it just feels
pardon
like
me.
this is a cool thing to put in the beginning. Sydney, you were gonna say?
Yeah, I assume upon second watch that it has to that it has to do with like the chant that they say in this religion, and when you say the chant you think it's like, you know, it's a religious thing, you think it's like a blessing, right? And so I think if you think it's a blessing and you say it, you will be blessed. If you think it's a curse and you say it, you will be cursed. That's the only thing I could really think of. It's kind of loose, but
Beg pardon, I'll give my interpretation.
okay.
I think it was kind of just about how, like, thoughts and feelings and prayers affect the world, and a lot of this movie is about, like, an incantation, right, that they say, and it, like, brings about curses, and so it's kind of... I kind of saw it as, like, our thoughts and our will and our words have effect on the world in some cosmic way. But it is a little loosey-goosey. It is kind of just a cool thing to put at the beginning.
Just to freak
If I
you
may.
out.
You may.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good interpretation. I like that, Max. That does make more sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't like
This really is
polite
the
shit.
most polite episode of Horror Movie
I
Talk.
really hate it. I feel so stuck right now. I'm like, I don't want to talk because I don't know how to be
Beg
polite.
pardon. It is hilarious how much Sydney's struggling with this.
Yeah.
She so wants to interrupt. Just be like, I have something to say. This will be the inverse of every episode. It will be me and Max talking 70% and Sydney talking 30%. For once.
Does she ever stop talking? All right, Sydney, what do you want to say?
I don't know. I don't have anything to say right now.
Oh, now you don't have anything to say? Okay, let's keep going then.
I love
Write
this.
it down, folks.
I love this. I love this.
July 27th, 9:13 a.m. Pacific. Sydney didn't have anything to say.
You sound like my mom.
So she goes on to explain that 6 years ago she violated a cultural taboo, and people who learn about this religion or this entity that she came into contact with, the more you know about it, the worse your life gets and the more cursed you are until you die. A lot of people just die really quickly. And then it shows two scenes, one of her showing her parents the video and they're driving and they immediately get hit by a car and die. And then she's showing the police the video and then it just cuts to them shooting themselves or unaliving themselves. Sorry.
Which I think
Pardon.
is so interesting because she doesn't, like, does she watch the video? Like, at this point, like, does she, because she didn't go in the tunnel, we find out originally. So, like, did she watch the video and she's showing it to other people and she doesn't die for some reason? Like, it's just her life gets worse because, like, all of her loved ones start dying and she starts inflicting this curse on other people, like, by accident. But she herself, like, she's just, like, haunted by this. It's not like things are really
Well, pardon
happening
me.
to her.
Maybe you didn't pay attention while you were watching. She offered herself to Mother Buddha. And so she's like She is part of the cult essentially.
Oh, what with the frogs? Was that scene?
With the frogs. Did you watch Encanto?
No. When did she do that?
When they get there, they do a ritual where they offer their name to Mother Buddha.
Yeah.
And when they offer their name, they say, okay, this name is Mother Buddha's now. You can't even use it anymore. It's not your name. You've given it to her. And so it's basically you're offering yourself.
Oh, okay.
Which seems like an initiation ritual to me.
Okay. I guess it's, I don't know.
Is
Maybe
that
I'm
how
just
you
stupid.
interpreted it, Bryce?
Yeah. I mean, she eventually watches the video, and that's where it goes haywire, right? When does she? No,
I don't know when
because
she
she doesn't
watches
watch the
it.
video until after. I'm trying to remember the series of events.
Pardon me. I think that when the little girl, when they're there, like 6 years before the events, when the little girl takes her into that room, and they do the hair thing where they feed the frogs with the hair, that's what I'm talking about. Like, was that was her offering her baby? Question mark? Because things don't directly happen to, what's her name? Ronan?
Yeah, Ronan.
They happen to Dodo. So that's why I thought that, I don't know.
Pardon. But by the way, in the dubbed version, they say Toto.
Oh.
And I was really confused because they kept saying Toto, and then I looked it up, and it was Dodo. So that must have just been like a mistranslation or something.
That's weird.
But Dodo's not offered to Mother Buddha, and that's kind of the problem, right? Because they say, because you're pregnant, you have to come back when your baby's born to offer her to the deity, and if you don't, she'll be cursed.
Oh, right? Okay. Yeah. That tracks and makes sense. There's a lot of moving parts in this film. That's why I think we all sound a bit confused. There's a lot of stuff
It is
happening.
kind of confusing. Bryce, you haven't spoken in a while.
See, when we allow you to speak, Max, you just stop. You just bring things to a halt. This is what happens when you don't get the most vocal people interjecting. And
that is because I am used to taking turns, and so when I'm done talking, I expect someone else to start talking.
Well, as the host of the episode, if no one's talking, you move forward.
All right, let's move forward.
We're all going to strangle each other at the end of this.
Okay, so in the present, Ronan is trying to get custody of her daughter back because when she had her daughter, she gave her up because she was mentally ill because of what she saw 6 years ago. So she's working on getting her back, and eventually she's able to go pick her up from, is it a group home or an orphanage, which is where we meet Ming. And
if I may.
You may.
I believe it's a foster home or foster care home. Mm-hmm. Proceed.
Correct.
And you would know about that because you've been a foster dad.
It's true. I have. Would you like me to elaborate?
Only if you'd like to. There's no pressure.
No, I don't have much more to say. Maybe we can talk about it in the afterpod.
I'm starting to think that being polite makes the episode really slow.
Yeah.
If you'll excuse me, I might hazard a agreeance for that. I think if we focus on moving forward and just focus on being polite when we want to interject, I think that'll be the best.
Oh, I was just going to open it up to a free-for-all and let Sydney start talking more, but...
Oh, thank God.
Okay, everyone can talk over anyone now.
So anyways, the thing that we didn't mention is there's basically 2 time periods. There's one 6 years ago, and there's nothing that happens for 6 years, and then she gets her kid again.
Right.
And
well, no, that's not true, because we do have, like, when she goes to the, well, we think it's Ming who goes to the Buddhist priest or monk to get the interpretation of the Taoist symbols. We think it's Ming who goes, but then we see that there's a video of Ronan going, and that happened in between the 6 years when she was pregnant. So that happened probably 5 years ago, but we don't see that.
How do you know that's true?
Because she's pregnant in it.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I also didn't notice that.
It, like, because Ming is talking, we have, like, his side of the story at one point where he, like, tries to figure out what's going on with this curse and stuff, and he's like, and hey, Ronan, I'm gonna forward you the video of this monk and his interpretation. And then a little while later, she's like, I want to play this before I, go back to the tunnel or whatever. And she plays it, and then the camera flips around, and it's her, not Ming, and she's like 9 months pregnant.
So, okay.
But
so
Ming
she
also
knows about
went.
the curse. But
This whole
at
time.
that point, she hadn't seen the tunnel herself, either in video or in person.
Yeah, she doesn't
I
go
guess
till the
not.
end, I think. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
about
I
the
think-
video. I don't know when she watches that. That's the thing. That's the one thing that I don't understand, is when does she watch this video? Was she just cursed
Well,
because
because
she
it was
there?
encrypted, right? Or it was broken, so they couldn't watch it for a while. But how was she showing it to her parents and the police officers then if they couldn't watch the video?
Was she? I don't remember that.
The opening scene is her in the car with her parents, and they're talking about the video and being like, who is this god you were talking about? And then that's when they crash. And then it shows her in the police station holding the camera with the police around her watching something. And then that's when they shoot themselves.
Well, I think it shows the file when they go into the actual... Oh, yeah, they do shoot themselves.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, now I'm confused because at some point, Ming, is that the guy's name? The
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
foster dad. So he, at some point, it's corrupted and he can't watch it. So he uses a program to fix it, and that's when we can see it. So does that mean that what's her name broke the file intentionally, or what?
I think we might be thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, probably.
Let's just say that there is a video. If you watch it, you die, and we don't know when she watches it. At least
we all watched it,
and and I've seen it, and I do want to die. So I'll give you updates on that. So she picks up Dodo, brings her home, and this is when this is literally 5 minutes into the movie. Like, weird stuff just starts happening immediately. Glass breaks, and I actually love this. Like, a window breaks, and she goes over and looks, and there's just like a dead cockroach in the middle of the window, or in the middle of the glass. And I was like, did that cockroach just like dive bomb through that window? Because that's kind of what it made it look like.
I guess so.
They're killer cockroaches.
And then other things are happening too, like she puts Dodo to bed, and then the power's cut, and she hears like a woman crying in the hallway, and she goes out and she just hears like screams. And so it's very spooky. It's very scary.
there's a little confusion because it seems like they're all cursed all the time, and then the curse goes into overdrive at some point and actually starts like eating up their bodies, you know, because the first half of it's mostly just like spooky, scary ghosts. It's like, oh, there's a floating demon that the child can see that everyone can't, and it's causing mischief. But other than that, it's not like there's no physical ailments until the end. Is there a turning point with the? At what point does Dodo start rotting?
Because she watches the video. Remember when her mom gets distracted and she goes up to the roof because she hears like a voice calling her, and then there's a few like red herrings, like the voice is
jumps off the fucking roof.
Yeah, she like jumps off the roof, but then she's like back on the roof holding a knife, and then she doesn't do anything with the knife, but she walks into another room and finds the video camera and watches. I thought the tunnel video, but the tunnel video isn't even available yet.
I don't even remember.
But it's
her
right
watching,
after that.
Beg pardon. I don't even remember watching.
You don't have to beg pardon.
Her watching the video. I thought she just opened the door and there was like kind of a weird shrine.
There was a shrine, but the camera was there. And I'm not 100% sure why the camera was there. Like, I guess this shrine is something that Ronan must have created in this building.
She makes mention that she has like Buddha statues in the attic or in upstairs or something like that, but it's kind of just in passing. But
yeah, so Dodo watches the video and her mom finds her and freaks out. But like I was just on Reddit because I was trying to figure out what like when she got cursed and stuff. And so the thing with the monk video and that reveal is revealing that Ronan's known that this is a curse the whole time, and like the chant and everything. So she's trying to literally curse everyone to diminish the curse on her daughter. Because once the curse is spread, yeah, go ahead.
It's just like diluted, like everyone just like a little bit cursed.
Yeah,
tiny bit.
So
what they didn't understand is the curse follows the rules of homeopathy. That the more diluted it gets, the stronger it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you think of that?
No, I didn't.
I've never even heard of that homeopathy.
Yeah, you didn't think of that, did you?
That's actually my favorite part of the movie, though, is because throughout the movie, she's like checking in and being like, hey guys, here's this cute symbol. Okay, everyone chant with me now because it's going to bring you good luck. And then by the end, she's like, just kidding. If you've been chanting and looking at this symbol, you're cursed. Which is
follow and
so
subscribe
scary.
My curse. Hit that bell on the curse. Let's get this curse to 100,000 likes.
Yeah, like with that reveal, I was truly scared when I watched this the first time. I was not okay.
Yeah, like the picture I sent you guys last night when it gets to that part of the movie where like the curse is like in the like it's just flashing on the screen, and it's very long. And you're like, I don't want to look. Like the first time I watched this, I watched it with one of my old roommates, and like we like were closing our eyes at these points, and we were like, when the blessing would be repeated, we would like put our fingers to our ears. We were like, we don't want to be fucking cursed right now. Like this is insane. It does a good job at actually being one of those movies that's like, oh, this is gonna curse you. Like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the movie Antrim, but it's kind of like that. Have you? No,
I haven't heard of it.
My sister made me watch it once, and I was like, this was the time of like dab carts, and I was like hitting a blinker, and she was like, let's just watch this movie Antrim. And I said, okay. And it starts off as like kind of like the Grave Encounters beginning, where it's like the footage that you're about to see is real, and everyone who's watched this movie has died and been cursed. And I was like,
and
actually
that's why it's on Netflix.
Yeah, and I was like actually scared because I was like, are you serious? Is this real? Because they were giving like evidence. Like there was like evidence, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't know what I was on. I guess I was just like high out of my mind on those vitamin E carts or whatever. But like I was terrified. I had to pause it, and she had to tell me it wasn't real. Like I was like, tell me it's not real. And then they use like in that movie they use binaural beats, which you don't really like register.
Spoilers.
But like they tell you in the movie at the end. But like
yeah, at the end.
Yeah, but we should watch it. It's scary. And they use like a certain frequency that induces anxiety. So the movie itself isn't very scary, but like just because there's like this like steady beat behind it, it like makes your heart race. It's really crazy. So it reminded me of that movie because I watched that movie a long time ago.
Beg pardon. Bryce, did you ever throughout watching this feel like the curse was maybe real?
No. I mean,
yeah, I figured that you wouldn't. You're like a stone cold, like you're just a trap. Nothing gets through. I watching it, I was like, yeah, the curse isn't real, but like, what if I am cursed? And then I got really freaked out. I knew that you wouldn't feel that way though.
You know, it's weird. I started reading this book since after we watched Longlegs, because I saw some trivia be about Longlegs, and it mentioned this book called The Golden Bough, that was written back in the 1800s. But it was it's basically a study, or the author's just basically trying to have kind of a unified theory of magic and like analyze magic and religious practices in ancient history. And so it's kind of a catalog of different ways that people would curse or use magic. And so like the part that I'm in right now is like the very beginning, but it just goes through all these examples of like, okay, well, if you dislike someone, you do this and to curse them. And it's all just kind of a variation on a voodoo doll. And
so you're the one who's been cursing me.
Between Longlegs and Incantation and Oddity, there's all these elements of this like kind of magical thinking where you use a stand-in or a doll, or you use like parts of people. So like the commonality is like you get something from the person and you integrate those things into a representation of the person, and then you fuck up the representation, and then that kills the person, which is basically a voodoo doll. So you usually get like clipping a hair, some fingernails, some blood, maybe a tooth,
naturally,
and like a personal item that they hold, that they like a piece of cloth from their clothing or something like that. And so it's weird how like the last 3 movies we've watched, I'm like, huh, this is just a common thing. And it's all like a different flavor of like, for some reason, people are really like intuitively bought into this idea of like, if you get enough pieces of someone and put them together into a representation or some kind of like magical ritual, you can really damage that person or help the person.
Yeah.
Bryce, if I send you hair, fingernails, and maybe a tooth, I don't know. We'll see how far I'll go.
Ask your mom if she kept your baby teeth.
Oh, I think she did. She did. Okay, I'll send you many teeth, and you make a doll of me. Will you just hold me at night?
Yes.
And make me like.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so
I've just
cute.
been so lonely.
Oh, baby.
Oh, Max. Oh.
Okay, beg pardon. Where are we at in this movie? I have no idea.
We're
yeah, I mean, this is the thing with this movie is it's like, does it really matter if we go through the beats by beats? It's like really.
Well, it jumps back and forth so much.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Kind of hard to keep it straight.
But honestly, like I have been silent because I've been reading a Reddit thread about this movie, and I honestly didn't really realize until this second watch and like crawling on
You've
Reddit.
been silent?
What? Have I not?
You've been silent?
I thought I was.
No,
I thought I was kind of zoned
you're
out
talking
for
plenty.
a sec. Okay.
Anyways, keep going.
Okay.
Sorry, beg pardon. What were you saying?
But I honestly didn't realize that like the reveal that she went to the monk and like knew it was a curse the whole time. I didn't realize that she was just like a bad person. Like she was just being a bad person and she was not protecting her daughter. And apparently they are saying on Reddit that when she made her daughter learn her real name and write it down, that's when like the entity entered the house and stuff and started, doing all this shit. And like then I think towards the end the mom feels like a little remorse for doing this because she actually cares about her daughter. She like obviously realizes that she cares about her at some point. But she sucks. Like she's like Ronan sucks. Like she for real has been like possessed with this Mother Buddha stuff since this taboo happened, and she hasn't gotten out of it because she wants other people to be cursed. She wants other people just to share in her curse and her hardship instead of trying to get rid of it. Like she really isn't trying to get rid of it the whole time. She wants other people to also just feel bad because she feels bad, and that sucks. That sucks. We don't like that.
Excuse me for the interruption. Yeah, I think one of the major themes of this movie is like bad parenting or the effects of negligent parents. And really what it shows is this artificial story surrounding some reason to neglect the child, because at some point she's told you can't let Dodo eat for 7 days, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like that's
that is wild.
Crazy.
And the drip feed she sets up for her, like, oh,
yeah,
that does not look like it's gonna work, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean that looks. She like puts in a intravenous needle, but then it looks like she's putting
like
food
soup
through the. It's like that's not how that works. You usually
No.
you put a tube through their mouth and put it directly into their stomach. You don't inject it into their blood. I'm just going to assume that was actually medicine. But regardless, it shows, number one, a mother whose child has been taken away for several years by the system, and then gets her back, and then proceeds to do her harm regardless of the situation, and has the daughter taken back. So I mean that's a huge theme, is like bad parents, like the effects on kids and how tragic it is. And it's kind of like a metaphor really for that.
Mm-hmm. And it's what am I trying to say?
Juxtaposed.
Mm-hmm.
That word didn't want to come out. It's juxtaposed with Ming, who can't have kids. And his story is actually really heartbreaking because throughout the movie he says things like, I just want to know what it's like to be a real dad.
Mm.
And like Dodo is the only kid at our foster home that has ever called me dad. Like that is so sad. And he really loves Dodo, and she seems to love him too. And so it really, he's almost robbed of his family in a way through this. So it's, I really like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he sees the best in Ronan for some reason, and like really cares about reuniting them and kind of also being there for them. And so when they are like, hey, we need to take your daughter back because you're an unfit mother, she decides to essentially kidnap her daughter, and Ming finds the car before she gets to get away, and Ming is like, nope, we're going to do this together, because Ming thinks that Ronan will, is doing the right thing, and that's his downfall. Like, that's why he dies, because he is so desperate to try to solve this for Ronan and for the sake of Dodo, and he finds out some information, but it's not information that we weren't privy to prior to this, or Ronan wasn't privy to prior to this. Like, it's just like he solves it, but he also gets cursed and dies. And it's so sad because he was the only one that was actually rooting for Dodo. And also we have this was a random scene. There's so much that happens in this, but one of the people at the foster care, the one that helped Ronan readopt Dodo, like, she dies. She kills herself with a fucking glass blowing thing in her mouth. Like, that's so random. Like, that was a very random scene.
I was confused how she got cursed, but it was a scary death. Like, the way she's, like, sticking this hot iron thing into her mouth.
There's a lot of scenes like that in this movie where you could, like, easily forget about because there's just so much packed in to it.
If I may be so bold.
You may.
Yeah, I think, like, again, back to the metaphor of, like, being in the system, this is kind of a common theme of that the child is always going to want to be with their parents, no matter how abusive or terrible their parent is. Like, you can't replace mama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the people that are in the system, that are like the child protective system, understand that, and the goal is always to reunite the child with its parents, because that's, you know, the natural order of things, and also, all things considered, usually the best thing for the child. But also, as a person, you know, that, you know, as a worker that is involved in those things, you can also have that perspective and want to reunite the child, but also the parent could be very, very bad for the child, and like, in the long run, because you just, you know, drug addicts or people with personality disorders or whatever, like, they can get to a point where then that, yeah, maybe they can take care of the child now, but there can be tragic consequences, and that's I think one of the themes in the movie.
Yeah, well, the system, especially where I am at, I think it varies from state to state, but, like, they are super focused on not splitting up families. Like, I've had to report to CPS in the past, and, like, kind of nothing happens, despite the things you're reporting being very, very horrible. So they're just like, well, yeah, but we can't take them away from their parents. Like, they're very focused on that.
That's really sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost an indictment of the system too, is that the system by default is usually worse, you know, than that, because you take kids away and you put them in a situation where people just don't, you know, there's a certain level of default caring about someone that isn't, you know, available to strangers, especially with, like, problem children, or kids that are in situations where they need to be taken out of the home. Usually they're also very damaged mentally and do not fit in normal societal interactions. And so if you put them into a functioning regular home, even, which isn't even always the case, it's very, very difficult for them to fit in, or for the caretakers to handle them, you know, with love. And it takes a special human being to be selfless and really understand their place in the system and the needs of a child that's, you know, really hurting and really damaged, to help them in like, you know, the worst situation of their life, and get them through to a good place, and help them, you know, more integrate with society and see how normal people interact. So yeah, I mean, it's hard all around, but yeah, it's weird that even with terrible parents, that level of care is usually higher than the default being in foster care, because sometimes like there's bad actors in foster care as well, of like people that are in it for the money. Like they're just like, how many kids can I put on this kid farm,
which
and
is
get
wild,
money from the
because
government?
it's not that much money you get, and it's
Right.
roughly about the money you would spend on like feeding them.
Right. Yeah.
So how are you even using the money? But yeah, I don't know. I miss doing foster care. I want to do that again. Makes me
Did
sad.
you do foster care?
Yeah, we've talked about this.
We have talked
didn't
about
remember.
this. Probably one of the first episodes we all did together.
Did you
I
just had a
remember.
baby?
No, it was a couple years ago, or it was a year before we had a baby.
Okay. How old was
Yeah.
it? I don't remember this.
She was 8. Remember, I showed her Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I realized that was far too young to show a child Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my god.
See, this is why you keep the kids with their parents, because you set them up with psychopaths like Max.
I miss her.
No. Well, this I'm just betraying how little I listen to people, because I don't remember that at all.
We've had a full conversation about this.
Okay. Well, I'm dumb.
Beg pardon, where are we at in this movie?
I think we should just like kind of run through it like quick, like
Get kind of the ending out.
yeah.
let's just. I mean, we're at an hour. Let's just skip forward to the end.
So what?
So yeah, I mean, it cuts back and forth a lot between 6 years ago and now, and like it gets more and more dire of a situation now that Dodo is like sick and suffering, and there's questions whether that's because of the long-term curse or if like in short term something changed. But the ending is basically Ronan going back to the tunnel and just like directly confronting the altar.
First we
And-
see she plays the video of her now dead boyfriend and friend, the other two guys in the Ghostbusters YouTube channel, going into the tunnel. She plays that for us. We see that her boyfriend directly looks at Mother Buddha's face and he gets possessed, and this in turn like makes the other guy go crazy. And so earlier in the movie we saw them when they came out of the tunnel, and the chosen child, like that little girl, is obvious. She's really upset that they went in this tunnel. Like, you're not supposed to go in this tunnel. It's a forbidden tunnel. She's really upset. And Ronan, like, shit happens with her. But yeah, we see how they go crazy. We see how creepy this tunnel is. I really liked the tunnel because they could have went a direction where it was like something like Grave Encounters, where there's like ghosts coming at you and they're CGI and they're crazy, but it's like a ritualistic tunnel. Like, there are, here's a space for hair, here's a space for teeth, here's some statues, here's some whatever, and here's like the deity statue, and its face is covered, and why is its face covered? And then they uncover the face. You don't see it in this first video. And then it goes to Ronan being like, okay, chant this with me, guys, let's do it. And
May I offer a thought?
You may.
I mean, that's not entirely true, because once the two guys are in the tunnel, it goes full Grave Encounters with like arms reaching through
It does.
walls.
Well,
and,
yeah,
know.
there is that. I forgot that happened. Oops.
It's like the same exact scene from Grave Encounters too. Like, it's shot for shot almost. But
yeah,
I really like how.
let me just say, Sydney, you're wrong.
Can I interject? I really like when Juan kills himself. The way he's running around screaming about how he doesn't want to talk about what he saw in the tunnel, and then just flies down onto a pile of concrete. And yeah, that was really scary. And the way all his teeth fell out, like, it was a very effective scene.
Yeah.
And then the ending. So, yeah, she goes into the tunnel. she has us chant for a little bit, and then she starts crying and looks at Mother Buddha in the face, and it's a hole.
She blindfold herself. She doesn't look at it. But it's enough to get her possessed.
Yeah.
Anyways. But yeah, it's like a hole. It's like a void. It looks fleshy, but also like a gemstone. It's really weird. It's like
a flesh stone.
That was funny. But it's enough to get her possessed. And I also read something on Reddit that because you know how like when she goes back to the town, like there's no one there anymore. It's completely abandoned. Like, so someone on Reddit was saying that it like since the tunnel was opened and broken, like Mother Buddha was now like everywhere, quote unquote. So like these people couldn't live in this town anymore, and there was no like guard between the curse and the people at this point. So it's kind of like inflicting everyone, and that's why when she blindfolds herself, she still gets possessed. Ew.
Oh, he's got the flesh stone.
Dad, you're not supposed to look at it, Bryce. We're gonna get cursed.
Uh-oh. Bryce is looking deep into it. Why does it look wet? I don't like that it looks wet inside.
It's definitely wet. It's like a really
Ooh.
weird kind of fleshlight.
Oh. I don't like the holes in it. Can we get the holes out of
No,
here?
it stays.
Also, I wanted to explain this scene. So when we were talking about how she was like couldn't eat for 7 days, so Ming and Ronan and Dodo go to this temple, which number one, they get stuck in like a dead end time loop kind of thing for a second where they keep driving around and passing the same thing. And then they get themselves out of it by reversing their car. I don't know, whatever. Like there's so many crazy elements to this. Then they go to this temple, and this old couple is like, hey, we're putting our lives on the line here. You can't let her eat for 7 days and then she'll be cured. And then, you know, the girl Dodo's getting worse and worse, and Ronan is a shitty mother, so she lets her eat, which I guess is really hard, obviously, to let your kid starve who's dying, but like, you know, you want this curse to be lifted, whatever. So she lets her eat after a couple days, and then she goes back to the temple, and the older couple is now possessed because she didn't complete the ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a creepy scene. I didn't love that. It was scary. There's so many moving parts to this movie. I don't. We could talk about it forever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, like, on thinking about it, a lot of them aren't necessarily very well connected to the actual curse or the, like, how it's explained. Like, or it just seems like they're just adding a bunch of creepy stuff to be creepy. So, like, the time loop thing, or the,
What's wrong with the time loop thing?
I mean, what does that have to do with the curse, I guess?
It's part of it. It's part of the curse. They're in
all
a time
right,
loop
well,
for
there
a
you
little
go.
bit. I don't know. Is that so wrong?
I guess not.
They can't just add that little element. They can't sneak it in there. I think it was scary. And I think what was going on with the couple that was like trying to break the curse, that seemed like it's a whole other thing. Like, they were doing like a ritual, and part of that ritual was she couldn't eat for 7 days, and because she ate, they were cursed. I don't know if that was specifically having to do with the curse they were already dealing with.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a
Sorry,
lot.
I've got like the tensest neck right now. Like my
Oh my goodness!
right
send
shoulder.
me some hair and teeth and stuff, and I'll just
I know
like,
which one of you is
rub the little doll.
is stabbing a needle into my voodoo doll right now in the neck.
This would be me rubbing your doll's shoulders.
Sorry, this is what I'm doing to your thing.
Shit. Is that Nazi memorabilia?
No, I got this knife the other day. Isn't it
Sydney.
pretty? It's a unicorn. Oh, you can't see
okay.
it. But isn't it pretty?
A famous Nazi symbol.
Unicorns are the Nazis of the mythical realm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's the movie.
Who
I
gave
really
you that
like.
knife?
I bought it at the
You
army
just bought it
at the army barracks store.
in the Nazi section?
Store.
No, there's no Nazi shit. Well, there might be. I don't know. I didn't see any. But me and my boyfriend bought knives, and this is the one I got. He got one that has a wolf hilt. I got this
Cool.
one because this one's cool. Yeah.
Who would like this movie? I think this is like one people should see. I want every. That's also what I say every time, though. I never actually recommend a movie to a specific group. I just say either everyone should watch it or no one. I didn't like it.
Please allow me to say, I think anyone that's a big fan of found footage is gonna like this one. It's a believable found footage concept. I think if you like, I mean, obviously, if you're into foreign horror, this is a good entry into that. But yeah, I think I like most people that like supernatural horror would like this. Supernatural horror, found footage fans, I'd say this is a good one to add to the list.
Yeah.
Sydney?
I think East Asian horror is honestly the best out of any horror. I think that they do it the best. They make things pretty scary, and I also think because Western culture doesn't really understand Eastern culture in the same way, it makes it also like scary, like the unknown, like because I was reading about this movie, and people from Taiwan and China, like they understand this sort of religious aspect to it, so it makes it even scarier for them. But I also think that makes it scarier for us because we don't have this kind of like knowledge behind it.
Well, yeah, it's because the mysteries of the Orient.
Okay.
I mean, I've taken a couple multicultural classes, so I think I know a little. Maybe you don't know anything about Eastern culture, but.
Well, I know about Buddhism because I used to tell my dad that I wanted to be a Buddhist, and he would get really mad because he'd be like, "We're Catholic." But I think this is great. If you like East Asian horror, you should definitely watch it. It's a good found footage movie too, which is my favorite horror genre. So if you like found footage and you like East Asian horror, go for it.
Have you guys seen Gone GM Haunted Asylum?
No, I have not.
So that's another foreign horror that came out. I think it came out this year. And it's pretty scary, so we'll probably have to do that one soon. Anyone else want to beg their pardons?
All my pardons are empty.
I think this is the quietest episode we ever did.
And this has been polite horror movie talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
If I may play the outro.
You may.
I'm gonna shoot myself.
Good day, sir. You lose. You get nothing.
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face.
Horror!
Wow, that didn't sound good.